Rocky isn't a famous wrestler. He won 44 battles and lost 21. But neither he wins nor loses, he doesn't feel happy. He comes to the audience seat row and asks for a cigarette. Then, he returns to the resting room. His opponent that was defeated was there too. He says, "You are lucky today." But Rocky doesn't reply. On his way back home, he comes across a group of teenagers. They are smoking, cursing, drinking beer. A girl yells at him, "You are a dump, do you know that?" Rocky pulls her out of the gangs and takes her home. He keeps talking on the way. He orders her to make friend with friendly and talented people, but she gets bothered. When they arrive at her house, she shows a gesture that challenges him. He turns around then leaves. He is a lonely man, he has no one around. He gulps down a bottle of beer in joy. Then he comes to talk with his turtle. "Your father fought incredibly today. The bruises from the battles cause him pain. Cover them with ice as his go-to method." There's a conflict between the Wrestler King and the organization board, because they couldn't find anyone that can defeat him. Suddenly the king comes up with an idea. He demands them to find someone that is unpopular, to give him a chance to fight against him. By doing this, people will see his tolerance and his ability. But that remains controversial. Finally, the board accepts his opinion, the king's requirement. He looks at the list, picks one randomly. It is Rocky. On the television, he claims he only needs 3 matches to knock him down. He pulls Rocky closer and asks, "Are you Italian? Though you can't fight, you might know how to bet." It's obvious he means to discriminate. But Rocky doesn't mind that. He's too silly. It's his first time on the TV, so he really likes it. But his words cause anger among the audience. They expel him from the stage, because he was picked to fight against the king. That night the old coach comes to see him. He wants to help him to win. He wants to train and become his representative. Rocky remembers the past. That man let others use his closet. He even scolded him, a useless man, in front of many people. Rocky tells the coach that, 10 years ago, I needed your help. But you turned me down. You have never cared about me. Then Rocky watches the coach shuts the door. The coach is standing outside the door. He still wants to persuade Rocky. "Why didn't you tell me?" But no one answers him. He's disappointed and leaves. As soon as he walks down the stairs, Rocky opens the door. He starts to throw words at him. "You have your own achievements. How about mine? At least you were at your peak, while I have nothing. I can't even stand appropriately after the fight. My body is exhausted. But it doesn't matter. Someone wants to fight with me. Do you want a big fight? Then I'm on it." Greater than he gets angrier as he says. The coach listens to all. He slowly leaves. Rocky keeps shouting. He restrains himself for too long. He has pride and ambition, but no one believes he has such a thing. The old man is now far away, but Rocky suddenly chases after him. He decides to let him be his coach. Rocky isn't that type of narrow-minded person. He knows one thing for sure, that his coach is brilliant. So he puts down his ego. Such a courageous man to follow his thought. 4 a.m. Rocky turns off the alarm. Though he's still sleepy, he wakes up. He breaks 1 egg into a glass. 1 egg, then 5 eggs. Then he drinks all at once. The weather is cold today, but he leaves his house. He does some warm-ups, then starts to run. A large Philadelphia city now has only his shadow. The sun is rising. He runs until he gasps. His stomach is getting hurt. He can't step properly. When he reaches home, his girlfriend wants to take care of him, but he refuses her. He has to take care of himself. He goes to the training room. The coach gets so mad that he scolds Rocky. He tells Rocky that he has no force, because he doesn't have a balance. So the coach picks a string. "Tie his legs," he says, "until one day you can jump and hit at the same time, without breaking the string. Then you are ready." He continues to practice. 2 girls want his sign, but the coach sends them off right away. The coach adds, "Don't even think about doing anything with your girlfriend. They will melt you." While he is running with his dog, a friend of him shows up. He smokes and drinks alcohol in front of him. He's really angry with his friend, says that he invited some press to interview him. If the opponent figures out how he trains, he might lose the game. But his opponent is a famous wrestler king. Rocky didn't have any hope from the start. It doesn't matter if his training is leaked. Rocky agrees. When he's in the interview, he even smashes the frozen meat in front of the camera. The king's representative has seen the interview. Meanwhile, the king is busy with his business. He even invites the press to record what he says. The representative looks at Rocky's movements. He starts to worry. But the king doesn't care. Rocky maintains his running habit. At 6 a.m. he passes by the Philadelphia agricultural market. Everyone is watching him. Some of them throw him an apple. They admire him so much, because he's a hero in their eyes. Just an ordinary guy, but dare to fight against the king. He has devoted all his will and determination. For the upcoming battle, He is doing the one-hand push-up in the training room. He lets others hit his stomach. To get used to the painful feeling, he uses all of his strength to smash the frozen meat. He's really hardworking. Day by day, he runs faster. In an early morning, he runs to the museum. At that time, he is in his best mood. He puts his hand up and jumps happily. He tries to cheer himself before the fight, because he is the first one to combat with the king, so it's important to clear his mind. That's what matters the most to him. When the night comes, one day before the game, Rocky can't sleep. He goes to the stage that he will fight tomorrow. He takes a peek on the stage. On the faraway audience seat row, they hang a poster of him. Rocky meets one of the organization board. He says, "My poster is wrong. My pants supposed to be white," but he doesn't care. He says that Rocky is nothing. He can have a chance to fight with the king. He should feel blessed. No one ever cares about you. They only care about the king. He is the show. Rocky comes home angrily. He tells his girlfriend, "I can't beat the king. We are not in the same league." Then he adds, "It doesn't matter, I'm no one. It's okay to lose. As long as I try to the last minute. No one has ever fought with him, to the last minute, so if I can do that, that's good. So I won't be the trash anymore." Before the battle starts, they are both preparing. They cover their hands with a cloth. The king tells others to press his belly so that he can breathe. Then they suck some kind of air in a small bottle. Amani hydroxide it seems. Rocky wears a gown and walks on stage. It has a logo behind which is Shamrock Frozen Meat Company. It turns out his friend uses him for marketing. The real spotlight is the wrestler king. He wears as if he the old father of the peoples. Of American, George Washington. He sits on a ship, heads to the stage. He even throws the money for everyone. When he takes off his gown, people see jewelry that has an American flag on them. He is the idol of the country. With the record of winning 46 battles, he is listed in the hardcore wrestler king in the world. He keeps stimulating Rocky, but he remains humble. The first match starts. The king quickly throws a left-hand punch. Through this way, he can check Rocky's spirit. He plays the way he wants. Rocky pays back with a side punch on the right, but he misses it. The king smiles. He is playing with Rocky. He is moving round to tease Rocky. Suddenly, in a moment, Rocky hits the king. It doesn't miss. He falls down. Rocky's supporters starts to cheer. This is the first time the king falls. He stands up. Now he really gets into it. He pushes Rocky to a corner, keeps hitting him. Rocky hugs him. They separate, continue to fight. Rocky finds his weakness, so he punches non-stop to his rib. The king throws a side punch. Rocky nearly falls down. His nose is about to bleed. The first round ends. The coach tells him that his nose was broken. As soon as the second round starts, Rocky is pushed to a corner and being hits repeatedly. But Rocky finds the weak spots again. He fights back. He fights until the king cans fight back. Round 2 ends. Round 3. Round 5. Round 7. Rocky has broken the saying that he will be beaten within 3 minutes of the king. He hasn't fallen until now, but his face has more and more injuries. Round 14. Rocky is standing still on the stage. He can't put his hand up. The commentator comments that, "What is protecting him?" Suddenly, Rocky receives a hook punch and falls down. The coach tells him, "Don't stand up," but Rocky keeps trying. Rocky tells the king to come near him, to hit him. The king doesn't believe it. When he approaches Rocky, he hits him, right on his hip. Round 14 ends. The king hugs his rib, moves to a corner of the stage. Looks like his rib was broken. Rocky can't see anything. Because the injuries are too big, they cover his eyes. He wants people to slit his skin, to let the clogged blood bleeds. They follow him. The king's representative also tells him that he is bleeding inside. We have to stop the game. But the king disagrees. The final round. The keeps fighting. Rocky punches powerfully on the king's rib. The whole audience starts screaming Rocky's name. Finally, Rocky pushes the king to a corner. He punches him non-stop. The king has lost all his will. The game ends. Rocky remains awake to the last minute. 15 rounds. The audience burst into happiness. They rush to the stage to hug him. They really see his power. Finally, the organization board announces that Rocky is the winner. He hugs his girl tightly. Rocky won the game. He won, indeed, himself.